I visited the Tyne tunnel was for a previous art project where I wanted to take some photography in some unusual architectural spaces. One of the things that really struck us with the tunnel though was when I went away and I developed the photographs were almost pitch black because of the depth of the tunnel, and it was almost as if the architecture had a personality of its own. It wasn't letting us capture it or try and record it in any sort of way. Since then I've been back a few times and I've noticed the original quirks of the building, so the wooden escalator, the sounds and sort of smells that you get within the space. And one of the first things you notice is the colours that are used. So you have these very sort of light greens, creams, which are very clinical, almost sort of hospital in the atmosphere that they create for you. When the escalators were working, unfortunately they're broken now, but you would move towards the entrances of the tunnel at such a glacial pace, it was almost as if you're entering the centre of the earth. It's a very dramatic effect as you're moving towards the transitory space. One of the other things that you really notice while moving through the tunnel is the lighting. And it's not only that the way that it makes the space look, it's the sounds that it creates, and also when you look directly into the light it creates ripples against the walls and it ripples overhead. So it's almost like the voice of the tunnel is the sounds that it creates around you. The thing that struck us the most is this, the way you cross the county borders between the middle of the tunnel. So it's almost a non-space in that you're actually, when you're on the line itself, you're nowhere. So when you start placing things within this nowhere space, how do they exist? What are the rules with how they exist? So it's sort of this really unusual place, and that's really why I wanted to have my work exactly on the borderline. With this work, I really wanted to try and create something that everyone could experience. So for myself, the Tyne tunnel creates a feeling of nostalgia, which perhaps not everyone would have. Usually people who use the space are just using it as a way to commute, so it's purely transitory. I wanted to try and make people stop and reassess the space. So with Tyne tunnel, I've wanted to create a block within the space, so essentially the work creates a barricade for those trying to pass through it. Also with the mirrors, it creates a sense of distortion within the space because you have a reflection of yourself within the mirrors alongside the architecture, which is all bundled together within this glass frame. It's the hope of the work that the 5 mirrors turn into some sort of almost bullies standing within the border of the tunnel. So they're standing there questioning why you're going there, why are you wanting to pass, what are you doing within the space. It's also the noise that's created is trying to warn you back, so it's trying to make you feel uncomfortable in the space. So as you walk through the tunnel and get further towards the artwork, the noise becomes louder, almost trying to frighten you back or question why you're there. I also wanted to emphasise the mechanical and electrical side of the Tyne tunnel. So as I've mentioned before, you have the lights overhead and obviously things that are behind the scenes, so like the pump room and things that the average person doesn't usually see. So for this I've used mechanics such as vibration motors and also a lot of electricals to create noise and to really sort of quadruple the effect that you would normally have in the tunnel, just to try and emphasise it for the viewer. The mirrors are shaken sequence, So the sequence is actually taken from the original plans for the Tyne tunnel. So things like the year the wooden escalator was commissioned, that number 1954 I think it is made into a sequence, and all of these numbers are put together so that you have around a 3-minute sequence, I think. The aim of the installation is to try and emphasise the emotional and the mechanical and the social traits that this piece of architecture has. It's aiming to make the viewer stop and take in these traits and not just use it as a transitory space.